Alright, let's
Probably
play some
Elias.
Hearthstone.
Alright, let's start this thing off. So, if everybody wants to introduce themselves, I'll start. My name is Ryan, aka Torg. If you're watching this, you've probably seen me in a bunch of other really crappy videos. Sorry about that. This is my friend Nick.
Hi.
His name is Nick.
My name is
He
Nick.
plays Hearthstone, just like these
I
other
play
two guys.
Hearthstone.
You can introduce yourselves if you want. I know we haven't obviously rehearsed this.
My name's Elias, aka Babylon.
My name's Brian.
Legendary.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Highest rank 18.
My name is Brian, aka Anti-Trumpet. I also play Hearthstone.
Whoa!
Whoa.
Surprise. So, yeah, we're going to start probably a couple video series looking over all of the Grand Tournament cards that were announced. There are only 32 cards in. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and start talking about each of them. What we think about each, whether they're playable or not, whether they suck, whether they're amazing. So, the first card, Fiola Lightbane. Whenever you target this minion with a spell, gain Divine Shield, 3/4 for 3. What do you think? What do you think about it?
It's pretty good if you need spells to target it with, so I'm thinking like in a combo priest where you just spam spells on things.
Yeah, I can see this being useful in priest, maybe in shaman,
Druid.
maybe druid as well. I wonder if like cards that buff your whole board, if that would apply to this.
It's targeted with
target.
you have to target with a spell.
Okay.
So it's single target only.
Okay, so I really feel like this is only useful in priest. So
I think maybe... So the two classes that run buff spells right now...
Pally.
Priest and Pally. I'm wondering if that card is too slow for the current aggro paladin.
I mean, it's a spider tank, basically.
I mean, it's so cheap. It's another good early game card. Okay, Spider Tank is a 3/4 for 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're trading an awesome buff that you could get like as often as you can play targeted spells for it not being a mech. Like, it's definitely better than Spider Tank. I don't know if it's better
than Spider Tank in certain decks.
In non-mech decks.
Sure, sure. In like 2 classes, I guess.
Yeah.
I'd say it's not quite as good as the next card that we're going to talk about in a second, but I don't know. It's not terrible.
But I think it could replace like Dark Cultist in Priest. That card, while it was pretty widely praised when Nax launched because it was the only 3/4 for 3 in the game at that point. It just seems really, really easy to isolate and just totally negate its ability. So I don't think you're losing a whole lot by playing this over Dark Cultist.
I agree. You
Yeah, I
can
could see
play
that.
around Dark Cultist most of the time anyway.
Yeah, I do that a lot.
Elias, what are you thinking? Would you play it?
Which card was it? I was pulling up the list when you guys...
Oh crap, we suck at this. Yeah, so
yeah,
go
'cause ours
to
doesn't share.
Hearthstone, right?
I'm just at the Facebook page. It has them all.
Okay, well, it's
Does it have
missing
all?
like 5 or 6 because
Oh.
it sucks.
It does. Blizzard's good at
I went on
this.
Hearthstone, and it just gave me the mech goblins and gnomes list.
All right, so on Hearthstone, there's a Grand Tourney button up at the top. And that has, I'm pretty sure it has all of the cards we have, right?
It had all the ones we pulled.
Okay.
You pulled from
So,
those.
Fiola Lightbane is on the second row. She's alright. But let's talk about the next one, Edis Darkbane. So let me switch that out real quick. Another 3/4 for 3 with a better effect, honestly, I think. That's
So go ahead and read it out in case
Alright.
you want to do this audio later.
Yeah, you're right. So, Edis Darkbane, 3/4 for 3. When you target this minion with the spell, deal 3 damage to a random enemy. I like that it specifies the U. Did the other card have that specification?
Yeah,
I think it did.
You.
I didn't even think about that. So once again, it's only kind of useful in the same decks, I feel like. But
Yeah,
for board...
slightly different purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, if this targeted only enemy minions, this would be freaking incredible as like an anti-aggro card. But even so, it's still pretty darn good.
I agree.
I think in any deck you run one of them, you don't lose a lot. They're both legendaries, so obviously it's more expensive to do it. But between the two of them, since they are legendaries and you only get the one, you would get the deck, a slightly more consistent deck out of basically having two legendaries that are both pretty good in the same deck. So if you would replace both, in a priest deck, you replace both your Dark Cultists with these two cards, as opposed to just switching out one. If you thought they were better than the Dark Cultists.
Are you guys thinking priest deck because of like Power Word Shield and
Yeah.
And Valens.
always
Yep.
Valence?
Valence Chosen. The other 2 or 3 targeted spells that we mostly see in Priest probably wouldn't. This wouldn't be a good target for those.
It'd be okay for the double HP inner fire nonsense.
There are
I
some
like
other
it.
cards, other new cards that are even better for
Yeah.
that, though.
Yeah, probably.
What were you saying, Elias?
I was saying it might be decent in a paladin deck with Blessing of Might, Blessing of Wisdom,
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
definitely,
Hand of Protection.
definitely.
Well, not on the other guy, obviously, but
It'd be a little redundant.
yeah. Well, you could attack. Yeah, actually, there's no way it works.
So I think, all in all, a nice, good early game card, a strong early game legendary. A slightly better, I think, than the first one, than the sister card.
Yeah.
I think we'll see a lot of people experimenting with this one for sure.
And they're both better than Spider Tank if you're not running a mech deck.
I'd be interested in seeing if this brings up sort of buff decks like that we didn't normally see, like Shaman or maybe even like a rogue thing. Where you
Is
basically
this strong
buff
enough
your
that
own
you want to
minions.
build your whole deck around it, though?
Well, with two effects that both get you a lot of points with this, like if you're building around one legendary, that's harder. If you're building around two legendaries with sort of similar effects that would both give you a lot of board control by doing this, maybe it could be interesting to play around with.
I think honestly, either what I'm looking to see honestly with this is sort of a more mid-rangey priest deck, sort of like the successor to the Chinese list, which just strayed away from like combos and stuff and just tried to play for value.
Mm-hmm.
I think these would work well in that, and I think some of the other cards that we're going to see will play into that strategy too.
Yeah, I could.
Well, these are, especially Edith, she's good in a control priest.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
We ready for the next one?
All right.
Yep.
All
Let's
right,
go look
next
at much
one.
awesome cards.
The Coliseum Manager. 3 mana, 2/5 with Inspire. Return this minion to your hand. So, for anybody who's watching or listening to this, Inspire is a new keyword that's being introduced with GTG, or GT, the Grand Tournament,
Those are
and
good at this.
any card with Inspire triggers the Inspire effect when you use your hero power, and there are some crazy new Inspire cards. I did not see this new mechanic coming at all. I would not have guessed that this was a thing they were going to add, but it's going to be really interesting to see how this changes the game, because honestly, using your hero power has been like something you did just to fill extra mana up to this point in the game, and this is a huge change.
Right.
So
That said, this is not one of those effects.
that's true, but this is the first card. I just wanted to explain what Inspire
Yeah,
was.
what's the purpose of this guy?
To bait bad players into playing him.
I think a best case scenario for this card is a 5 mana recurable knife juggler play. Which is terrible.
So okay, you play this early game, you clear some cheap, low, weak stuff off of your opponent's board, and if I don't know,
It comes back to
Kind
your
of like
hand,
Druid of the Flame.
and then you never play him again.
well, it comes back to your hand, and you have something else to play. I mean, something's better than nothing. It's better than losing it. I mean, if it gets hit and then you attack with it and then you put it back out, like what's,
Yeah.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
It's
I
You
don't
gotta
know.
hero power first.
It's not great.
Yeah. If this were like overstated or something like that, I could maybe see
yeah.
playing it, but because let's be clear, the Inspire is usually going to be a drawback, not
Yeah.
a plus.
Yeah, I agree.
The guy like auto pandas himself.
Yeah,
Maybe
if you hero
It's
power
kinda-
on turn 4, then you lose board control.
I don't know. Maybe if you played this with Warsong Commander, that offsets some of the drawbacks of it, which is that it doesn't have any sort of immediate board impact. They're not forced to attack it. They're not forced, like, it can't attack them. So maybe...
there's so much.
but there's so many
stuff to
better things to play with Warsong Commander.
Warsong, though, that's the problem. I don't know.
So it's
It's meh.
it's probably a junk rare. Unless they reveal things that could make it dumb, is if they came out with something like Knife Juggler that does get a lot of value out of recurring a minion over and over again, or something like not Light's Justice, the sword, the Paladin sword that puts counters on things
Yeah.
when they come in. If there's something like that really does take advantage of being able to recurribly play a minion, then maybe it becomes more viable.
I don't know. I
But
think
they haven't revealed anything like that yet. So-
We'll see. At this point, I think it's pretty crappy. I don't know. Like we just
Yeah,
looked
it
at
doesn't make me
2
wanna
3
play
drops.
We're a quarter of the way through the cards, and nothing makes that playable. So
Yeah. All right. So next up, we have North Sea Kraken, a 9 mana 9/7 with battle cry, deal 4 damage. It's not awful.
It's
At first
probably pretty
glance-
good in Arena.
it is.
Yeah, I've heard that opinion, and I don't play a lot of Arena, so I'm gonna have to refer to both of you guys, Elias and Brian. I don't know. I'm trying to think of what else, like what it would replace in existing decks, like in the current meta, that would make it comparable.
I
Like,
just
what would you take
think
out?
It's purely arena card made.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
in-
I put like those 5 mana commanders charge in my hand, like one who does 2 damage.
Yeah.
Or 2.
Yeah.
It's a cheap card. It's a common, so new people getting into the game can end up with a big endgame creature to play with. For a big endgame creature, it does have immediate board impact, which is good. It can kill something when it comes into play, so it doesn't lose value just for playing. It's basically a giant fire elemental. You could definitely play it in arena with fire elementals and have a crazy shaman deck.
I mean, I guess it forces your opponent to trade like any other giant creature, but I mean, you spend a whole turn for just that battle cry, and then like the 9/7 that is dead to.
It's a good card
AGH.
to play when you're ahead.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like it's all right for a cheap common for people getting into the game, I think, but I don't think it'll see constructed play.
I agree. Not at this point for sure. All right. Next up, Justicar True Heart, a 6-mana 6/3 battlecry. Replace your starting hero power with a better one. I think we kind of know what the better.
There was when this card came out, there was a list showing what the better powers were. Primarily, they double the effect of the hero power, with the exception of the Warlock hero power, which removes the life cost, and the Shaman hero power, which allows you to choose which totem you can draw or you play, as opposed to getting a random one. I believe you are still restricted to having only one of each type of totem out at once, but you can choose which totem you get.
It's interesting. I definitely can see myself replacing a Shield Maiden in my Control Warrior with this. And that turns my hero power into like a 4 armor buff every turn, which is just insane. Like, as if my 30 armor games aren't crazy enough. Like, that's awesome. Plus, it allows me to shield slam.
It is really so easy to deal with, though. 3 health.
Yeah,
like
the trades
you
with
play
a 2
it
drop
on turn 8, and
it's true.
Well,
your hero power once.
So it's worth noting you replace your hero power that lasts for the rest of the game.
Yeah. It's not a temporary buff.
It's not a
turn 6. You get that hero power for the rest of the game.
So that's where it's maybe not the most threatening card, but you're trying to bank on the value you get from your hero power now being better for the rest of the game. As a thing for the
long term.
For doubling, I don't believe the Hunter power quite doubles. I think it goes from 2 to 3 damage, as opposed from 2 to 4.
Yeah.
But most of the others...
That would be broken.
Because that would be... Although Priest doubles from 2 to 4, and then you reverse the...
I totally want to get the dream where we play Justicar True Heart into Valen plus Auchenai Soul Priest for targetable 8 damage. For 2 mana.
For 2 mana.
Those decks are coming back.
God.
Go get some of the other cards we'll see that let you recur your hero power.
Yeah. Into, what is it? Garrison Commander.
Yeah.
16 damage to the dome.
We'll see that later.
So, alright. I think she's awesome. I'm definitely going to be fishing for her in
It's definitely
packs.
one of the coolest cards we've seen so far. I think it's probably only useful in decks that are designed to go to the really late game, so that you get the most value out of that new hero power.
Yeah,
Good point. I agree.
I think what you said, where you just replace a Shield Maiden with it and a Control Warrior.
Like if you
any other decks that have a nice 6-drop that they could switch out this, because this isn't, since the legendary you only get 1 of it, it's not really worth building a deck around this effect, but this can supplement other effects. So if you had some other Inspire-based deck that you're going to be using your hero power a lot anyway, this could be a reasonable 6-drop.
Yeah, and do keep in mind that that particular replacement, you would have to use your hero power, 3 times after you play Justicar in order to make up the armor differential from the Shield Maiden. So it's not a clear win, but if you're gonna play, a 20-turn game or something,
like I would picture like Tharson with True Heart and Sludge Belcher in hand, and then like turn 9 or something, I Belcher, True Heart, buff my hero power, and have just the card behind a taunt. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see it in play.
Yeah.
All of the hero power changes. It's really hard to guess how it's going to change the game over the course of like 5 turns in a game, because we've never played a game like that.
Yeah. So is this good in any other classes? I think it's too slow for Hunter.
Too slow for Hunter. I would agree.
I sort of like it in Druid, because I think Druid gets a huge reach advantage for their hero power doubling, because now it becomes gain 2 attack, 2 armor a turn, which increases a lot what they can kill. There are some other Druid cards. Because the set is themed around the idea of using hero powers, there's a lot of other supplementing cards, even beyond the Inspire effects that we'll see, that sort of feed into your hero power for the different classes that are class-specific cards. So I'd be interested in seeing if it can fit there at all.
As far as Shaman goes, I have wanted a Shadow Form like power, like spell to do that exact thing, because nothing sucks worse than just praying and hitting the totem button and getting the wrong one.
Getting a heal totem.
Right. Yeah.
Every time.
Or the 1/1. I think you're not getting quite enough value for 6 mana in Shaman to make that worth it. It's really convenient to be able to pick the totem, but I don't think it's that much more powerful.
And what about
What do you think of it in a? Sorry, go ahead.
And I was going to say like a hand lock. It removes the HP cost off of their life tap, and they just love life tapping. They also have the built-in ability to draw to it.
Yeah, the thing about that in Handlock, not only is that list like super refined at this point, they actually kind of want to lower their life total, right?
Yeah,
because
that's what I was thinking.
Giants.
Yep. Yeah, like you need to get down to 15 fairly quickly, you know, so you can Molten and then heal bot up.
Yeah.
Well, as we'll see.
Yeah.
There are other
I was
giants.
thinking in a rogue deck.
Yeah, so they get a 2/2 weapon instead of a 2/1, right?
Yeah, I think so. Or a 1/2. Yeah, I think it's just a 2/2 knife.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yep.
So they also get some reach value there.
Yeah, and they definitely like using their weapons. I mean, slightly more value for something like a Blade Flurry, but
1 health can make the difference between serious board clears.
So,
1 is quite a big buff, I think.
Yeah. So, let's be honest. There's only one viable rogue deck right now. So does this fit in Oil Rogue?
I don't think it sticks around long enough, really.
Yeah.
And I think Oil Rogue has better horrible combos to be spending 6 mana on.
Right.
Yeah.
To really make it worth it for the 1 extra damage on their knives.
I agree.
Alright.
So, interesting, useful in a couple decks, I think is
I think maybe some decks.
my
Actually,
summary.
one more is the Paladin effect. So the Paladin effect spawns 2 Silver Hand recruits.
That is pretty
as
crazy.
opposed to 1 Silver Hand recruit, which makes it a lot harder to just get rid of. I mean, unless you board clear, makes it a lot easier for them to get Silver Hand recruits. If you run it with Quartermaster, you get a lot more of those little guys per turn. It becomes more viable to do a Quartermaster type deck without just having to rely on Muster to get a lot of them out.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I could see that fitting in maybe a mid-range Paladin.
I think it gives yeah, it gives more reason to have 2 quartermasters instead of 1. I'd like to see that in arena, getting just a card in your drafts as a paladin. Because paladin's
that would
my
be-
favorite one in arena.
That'd be brutal.
It's gonna be sick.
It counters every other just a card hero power. Like, they can't deal 2 damage to both of them
Nope.
with other hero powers.
It's true.
Yeah, that'd be neat. Alright,
Alright. Next,
an interesting card.
Poison Blade. I've looked at this a couple times and I don't see how it's good.
Yeah. All right. So let's read it out.
Alright, Poison Blade, 4 mana, 1/3 weapon. Your hero power gives this weapon +1 attack instead of replacing it. You know what? I don't know why I was thinking that this was a rogue card. Okay, I need to totally rethink about this one. If
Well,
this is
isn't it?
It
No.
doesn't
Is it not?
look. It doesn't have rogue color on it. I
Okay.
thought
Isn't
it
that-
was
So what?
originally. Yeah, is it?
No. Isn't that like a purple? This is like a purple border around it, right?
I
No.
don't
It's a
know.
rogue
I
weapon?
don't think so.
So
Neutral.
Hearthstone, it's not a neutral weapon, right? Hearthstone is calling
And-
it a rogue weapon.
And the rogues are the only ones that have a weapon
That's
as
what I
their
thought
hero
it was.
power.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
hero power gives us.
So yeah, that's like a purple border. It's rogue colored.
Okay,
So,
It's a rogue
that
thing
makes
to do.
sense.
Instead of
That
replacing it.
right? Yeah, the
Yeah.
text doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. It's a rogue weapon.
That color threw me off there.
Unless
Sorry-
you get
sorry
it-
to get everybody's hopes up.
Unless you get it blingotroned on you.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that the use of this weapon?
Oh, I
Hope
wonder.
for
I wonder what
Blingotron to give you the weapon and sit on it all game.
That's gross.
Yeah,
That's
I wonder
that's
what
gross.
that
We
says to you
found-
when you get it blingtron on you. Like,
You could
'cause
thought
that
steal
might,
this.
might not be bad
You could thought
in
steal it.
like another class because you actually get another effect for your hero power and you then buff the weapon.
Yeah, you could steal this as a priest too.
You could.
Although
I don't think you'd want
I
to
don't know
cast
if
it
it's
as a
gonna be
priest. I
planned.
think you'd want Blingotron to give it to you. Now, why you'd be
I think
playing
that has-
Blingotron is another question entirely, but
You see it in those weird mech mage.
Yeah,
hybrid
playing-
weird decks.
Bling
Yeah.
Harrison.
I'm playing Harrison.
So okay, I think if this was a little cheaper, it would be maybe more useful. I don't think rogues need
It'd
it,
have to
and
be.
I don't see how or why it's really useful. I just
It'd have to be really cheap, like 2 mana cheap.
Right now, it's like it's a 6 mana Stormforged axe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just doesn't sound good.
Or a 6 mana Coghammer that doesn't give you anything else. Or
Doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
I would rather play just a car than this.
Yes.
Plus,
'Cause
plus
it's
hero
worth
power.
the
Yeah.
extra 2.
Because
It has more
especially
durability.
once
Yeah.
you're... Yeah, that might be gross, actually. And it's a epic weapon, so you'd think you'd want more oomph out of it than it just sitting there and you build it up over the course of 5 turns or something, and then you start hitting things with it. But in the meantime, you can't Blade Flurry, you can't really use it well.
Well, with the popularity of weapon destruction in the meta right now, I don't know that
Yeah.
I'd want to be sitting on a weapon
No.
for more than a couple of turns. You're bound to get that Harrison.
Yep.
Yep, especially with the nice durability on it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm underwhelmed with this one, but I don't play a lot of rogues. So.
no, it's garbage.
It's pretty trash tier.
I think we found the secret of this weapon with Blingotron.
Yeah. In any class other than the one it's
And then-
intended for.
Yeah. Okay,
see how
so let's move on. Silverhand Regent is a 3/3 for 3 mana neutral creature. I guess I haven't been describing these cards as well as I could be if people are listening and not watching. So a 3/3 for 3 with an Inspire effect. Summon a 1/1 Silverhand Recruit. I like this. At first glance, I like this a lot.
Is this a paladin card?
No,
Yeah, it was just
that's what's interesting. Is it is a neutral card, even though it summons the paladin's recruits.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically inspire buff this creature, or no, it's even better than that. It's even better than buffing. Like, it's split across 2 creatures, and I don't know, I like that. I like having more board presence.
You have to sort of think about it on curve, though, right? Because playing this on 3, you have to then expect to use your hero power next turn, which means you've got 2 mana left, so you're playing off curve there. I think it's kind of slow, honestly. I think there are better 3-drops.
Sure. Well, there are quite a few 3-drops.
I see it in a paladin emperor combo deck. Just at first glance.
In paladin, regardless of whether this is actually a neutral, in paladin, you could maybe see playing this. So what do they play on 3?
Okay, turn 3 Silverhand Regent, turn 4 Knife Juggler hero power as a pally would be pretty decent.
Wouldn't be bad.
You have 4 bodies on board.
Otherwise, it would be turn 3 Muster
Or
Peacekeeper. Or Peacekeeper, depending on what they had.
Peacekeeper on curve always feels pretty bad.
Yeah, it's more of a get rid of something big card. So I think
feels
this
great against Ramp Druid.
Yeah, I think this works decently well in the Paladin decks we talked about with Quartermasters. It's weird that this is a neutral card, but this is sort of an example of the cards they've been releasing to supplement hero powers on the various heroes, where this is giving you extra Silverhand recruits for using Silverhand recruit, or giving Silverhand recruits to anyone that wants them for whatever reason. But because of Quartermaster, I think Paladin definitely takes the biggest advantage of this.
I agree.
I agree.
And then from an arena standpoint, I think it's not a bad card.
Yeah, there are definitely worse 3s in arena.
It kind of gives it like an Imp Master kind of feel, but with 3 attack.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
Yeah.
We have some questions from Twitch chat.
Oh
Riley wants to know if this is better than Imp Boss.
So
Imp Boss is 2/4 for 3, right?
Yep.
No, one, right?
No.
For 3
Oh,
mana.
Imp Boss. Imp Gang Boss or Imp Master?
Yeah. All right, Riley. All right, I'll clarify that and we'll answer that.
All right. I think it's better.
Let's assume she meant
Let's see.
Imp Gang Boss.
I think it's worse than Imp Gang Boss, and maybe about on par with Imp Master, with the difference being that this is dangerous, whereas Imp Master's really not.
Yeah.
But you only get if you're relying on the tokens, you'd have to have this sit around for at least 2 turns of you using the hero power to get the same amount of tokens off of it, or a valuable amount of tokens off of it, before its loss of HP matters.
And this may not be a 3-drop even. You might think of this as something to combo later on when you can... Gosh, all right. What's the card that allows you to use your hero power as many times? That's
a mage card. That's a mage card, and we'll see it later.
All right, then never mind. That idea doesn't make any sense.
The Garrison's not bad though, and we'll see him too.
If you think about playing this off curve though, right? If you wait till turn 5, do you really want to pay 5 mana
for 4?
A 3/3? Yeah.
That totally
plus
depends
your hero
on
power.
what else you
plus
had
your hero
to
power
play on 3 and 4.
So, I don't think it's as strong in that instant. That right there. I do like what you mentioned earlier of turn 3 this, turn 4 in Shaman or Paladin, Knife Juggler, drop 2 knives.
I can really see that play happening in the next month.
That actually seems like a decent play.
Yeah.
Or even like shielded mini pot hero power or something.
But this is I do think this is interesting because it's neutral. Just to see if they're going to have other cards that are sort of cross hero kind of that are neutral. Like say another minion that has Inspire, give your hero 1 armor. That's a neutral card. That would normally be sort of a warrior effect.
Yeah, could be.
I like what Angel said about it being a cheaper version of True Heart for Pally.
Yeah.
In a way,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah, that's true. If you because it basically does the same thing that Justicar True Heart does, except if you kill this, it goes away. But
Yeah.
That is interesting.
But anyway, as for the question, so the question was confirmed for Imp Gang Boss.
Yeah.
I think M Gang Boss is far and away better.
The Imp Gang Boss
Yeah.
gets value almost regardless of what you do to it, and it's big. So if they want it gone now, you still get an Imp out of it, and they have to use something like a Shadow Bolt or some other 4 damage
Death
type
Bite.
spell, Death Bite, and you'll still
And
get
you
an
don't
Imp.
have to hero power to
Whereas
get
this,
crap out of 1/1.
you have to hero power to do it, and it dies to a lot more of the Wraths and Frostbolts and Dark Bombs and anything else if they want to kill it before it really does anything.
And on top of that, you lose any demon synergy that you
Yeah.
might have in the Warlock deck that you're playing it in.
It
Yeah,
can't
'cause-
get summoned, can't get buffed by Morganas,
Yeah.
etc.
So I think
Several others.
it's probably worse than the Gang Boss. Especially in decks that play Gang Boss.
Yep.
Alright. So, moving on to Garrison Commander. A 2-mana, 2/3. You can use your hero power twice a turn. Okay, this is another one
Neutral
that I was mentioning. Yeah, so neutral epic card. I think this is pretty interesting. I don't think it's a 2-drop.
No.
I think it's more of a 6 or plus drop. Maybe a 4. No, it would have to be a 6 plus. Like I wouldn't want to draw this early. I would throw it away. Although even if you did, though, it's still not bad. A 2/3 for 2 is.
I mean, it's
That's not
fine.
awful.
It's good vanilla test stats, but again, it feels bad to play on curve because
Right.
you can't even take advantage of it the next turn
Unless you have the
point
coin.
it out. Yeah.
Yeah, and even then, you're not really getting
Why
the
would you-
full benefit. I think it's okay. I'm trying to think of what deck
can-
I would see it in.
Combo Priest, double 8 damage heal.
Hey, I mean that would be crazy though. Like if you held
It would
on to
if it
that and
happened.
then pulled that off,
It would.
that would be insane.
You would melt
Yeah,
It
faces.
requires 4 separate cards, 2 of which are legendary.
It's plausible.
Handlock.
Handlock.
Take out
Ah.
4 health, get 2 cards.
Yeah?
That had actually occurred to me, but again, when we talk about Handlock, that list is really tight. What are you going to pull out of it to play Garrison Commander?
Let me pull out my Handlock deck.
So, let's
Dark
talk
Ancient
about
Watcher?
Ancient Watcher.
I would take out an Ancient Watcher. I've seen Handlock without any.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those are good Soulfire bait, or not Soulfire, Soulflare fodder, and they're good taunt targets, but
Yeah, I'd
maybe.
say those for Shadow Flame, basically. I don't know.
Or Owl Silence.
So who's
It's true.
which classes is this terrible on? Would you not want this effect on?
Rogue.
Rogue.
Yeah.
That's it's
Pretty
kind of a
bad.
theme so far. 2 totems is good. 2 dudes is
alright.
good. 4 armor is okay. I'd rather have board presence than that.
But again, if you're
Healing for 4 is meh. Early game, I don't know.
Now, one thing we haven't really been taking into account on this one is definitely what other cards this combo enables with the Inspire. So there will be a card we'll see later that's a 5-drop, that this is a 6-drop follow-up, hero power twice, would probably be would create a pretty strong board for doing, if it survived, among other Inspire-type cards that this really enables. So definitely, if we get the support for an Inspire, for just inspired decks in general, regardless of what classes use them, if they're good enough, then this definitely combo enables them to just go nuts. I mean, even like...
You'd have to get value from it on the turn you played it, though, because you're going to expect this to get removed immediately, right?
Yep. So you'd want to have a board, and then drop this, get some other Inspire effects off. I mean, even, let's see, is it... I'm trying to think if it's alright in
tempo play.
Trying to think if it's alright in Hunter to just drop it and shoot face.
That actually might not be too bad.
It does look like a Hunter card, because you do end up going to like turn 6 or 7.
Yeah, like, I mean, you've got lots of mana usually as a face hunter or something if you just drop it and shoot face.
Top decking mode.
Right, like if you're at turn 7, then you plenty of mana usually to dump into another hero power. Yeah, I agree with that. Are we ready for the next card?
Yeah,
So
I'm gonna go turn my light on so I'm not sitting here in the dark.
You are kind of spooky there.
The sun went down.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
started.
Yeah.
You are kind of spooky there.
Oh my gosh, it's been almost an hour. Wow,
Has it
we
been?
talked
Oh
about
my
like
gosh.
2 cards, man.
We're terrible at this. Or good at this. I don't know
We've
which
gone through
one.
5, 6, 7, 8. We're about to hit
Too
9. Wow. Yeah, this is gonna take a year.
It'll be released before we're done.
Oh well, yeah, it definitely.
We've got all August. Don't worry.
All right, so next up, Lock and Load, a 2-mana hunter spell. Each time you cast a spell this turn, add a random hunter card to your hand. So we saw this played in the kind of, I guess, expo match they played when they announced it, and it puts like a big hunter's mark over your Hearthstone board, and then you just win, basically. This card is amazing. Like, even if I hadn't seen it work already really well, it's the stuff you can do with this is crazy. The random hunter card could really screw you over, but
We could let you win the game.
For mid-range hunter, that's just insane. There's so much you can do with that.
Did you guys hear the crowd like just groan when they when they demoed this?
Yep.
I think Dodds was expecting everybody to be like all impressed and cheer and everything, and people were like,
There's some rioting.
You gave what to Hunter?
Yeah.
So, we didn't see it happen, but in theory, you can double cast this, and then for every hunter spell you play, you get 2 random hunter cards.
Yeah. And that would count as the first.
And this would definitely give you 1
I don't
just
know.
for casting the other one.
I don't know if that'll work.
I
Would it
think
even
they
be
actually
released?
confirmed on Twitter that yes, that's what would happen.
Wow.
'Cause it
that's
gives you a
just
turn.
dumb.
And depending on what you had, like, so if you have, 2 trackings in your deck, a hunter's mark or something, like 2 hunter's marks, whatever you're using with it, 2 arcane shots, there's really not that many really cheap spells for you to use with it, so it might actually be worth it, because at that point you're getting 2 cards for every 1 you spend.
Sure.
So it might actually be worth it to double
think-
up on this, although that would probably be the BM play.
That's not typically what we're gonna see,
No.
but that would be dumb.
But you rarely draw up both of them at once.
We'll usually see this used with like a hunter's mark and an arcane shot or
Tracking.
something like that, or tracking. Yeah, I think we'll see that a lot. I think it's
Flare.
gonna be or Flare.
So, do you think this is going to perhaps spawn some other flavor of hunter that we haven't seen a lot yet? I've heard people talking about, there's always the elusive, control hunter build, right? Steam Wheel Sniper plus this,
I hate
explosive shot, deadly shot.
Did you watch the Fireside battle?
No, I haven't had the opportunity yet.
So, Firebat's deck actually was sort of the control-y mid-range hunter, because he did run the snipers, used his hero power on creeps, he ran lock and load, he had quick shot, arcane shot, Hunter's Mark, tracking, a few other Inspire cards, and he just used his hero power to target minions and get rid of them and keep them off the board while letting his Inspire cards get value. So that's a little bit different. He had Hunter staples like Unleash the Hounds and Eagle Horn Bows and some other traps, which also feed into lock and load.
Yeah, didn't even think about traps as a spell. Yeah.
Yeah, normally
Sounds
you want to
like,
get those.
Dogs are also a spell.
Go ahead, Elias.
The same way you see tempo mages now, you'll see like tempo hunters, because the lock and load's kind of like unstable portal, but a little more different. I don't know.
Or maybe even more like a flame waker, right? Because you're waiting for that turn when you've got the lots of cheap spells that you drop the one thing. In this case, it's a spell rather than a minion, and then you just proceed to get tons of value out of it.
Yeah,
maybe we'll see Mech Hunter.
I've tried that. It didn't work great.
Spare parts, lock and load.
Oh, spare parts would be good, actually. Just throw some gnomes in there instead of leper gnomes. You can have clockwork gnomes.
Yeah.
Okay, so this card definitely
spare parts. Dang, I didn't even think about that.
This card definitely made everyone at the Fireside groan when they saw it. They were like, "Why are you doing this to us, Blizzard? Why are you doing this?"
If you had like, all right, you drop a Tharson with a handful of like cheap hunter spells, and then everything's free, and then like turn 7 or like, and the coin counts too.
Yep, coin counts.
That's just gross.
Just let the
Tired of looking at this
RNG.
card.
Just let RNGs just decide what your win condition is for the deck.
So stupid.
How many king crushes can I get?
So lock and load is crazy. We will see a lot of that, and like you said,
I just
Brian.
realized it's a random card, not even like a.
Yeah, they can be minions.
Yeah, otherwise it would be totally broken. If it came back with spells every time and you could just chain everything into it, I think that would be too strong.
I think you have pretty much a 50% chance for a hunter spell, though. They have a ton of spells, and most of them are fairly cheap, so there's a decent chance that you could even combo this with something you draw. Like, that's amazing.
You can get a lock and load.
Yeah.
Second lock and load, third lock and load.
All right.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's move on. Lock and load is ridiculous. Next card, Maiden of the Lake, 4 mana, 2/6, neutral minion. Your hero power costs 1.
There's 20 hunter spells.
20 yeah, okay. There you go.
How many hunter cards?
Yeah, out of how many hunter cards?
Alright. Shoot back down.
So, Maiden of the Lake, 4 mana, 2/6. I think as we've seen so far, this is amazing in Mage with a Caldera Drake.
Yeah, we haven't talked about the Drake yet.
Right. What do I think about Maiden of the Lake? Like the stats.
20 out of 34 cards are spells.
Wow. That's crazy. So I like the 2/6 on turn 4. Doesn't die that easily, I guess. I think we're gonna see this in a lot of decks with Inspire and Hero Power modifiers, because this just makes it even better.
Yeah. I sort of wonder, though, I mean, what is the canonical 4-drop right now in the game is Piloted Shredder, right?
Mhm.
So, do you really think you're going to get more value out of this than you would a Piloted Shredder?
It's
Not early game.
it's close, actually, depending on
So
what
we
your
keep
hero
talking
power
about
is.
all these Inspire things, and it's like, oh, well, you wouldn't play it on curve. You'd wait until later. When are you actually going to be playing?
I
all
know.
these cards? What are you going to do while they fill up the board and beat your face?
Now, I will say
I
that.
think you play.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Okay. I think you play a lot of these cards on curve because they replace a lot of things that just don't have their Inspire. So it's just like you put it on for tempo, and if you get Inspire out of it, then that's value. That's all.
So I will say that this card was in. I don't think it was in Firebat's Hunter deck. It was in Amaz's Shaman deck, and it was in Trump's Mage deck.
Yeah.
And it played pretty well. You drop it on turn 4, maybe drop something else with Inspire the next turn, use your hero power for cheap. It gets really dumb. At one point, Trump had the Dream combo, which we'll see the rest of the cards of the Dream combo upcoming. And I feel like, based on that, there's going to be a fair number of copycat decks. Whether they'll end up being the best decks or be really threatening or playable decks will depend on the rest of the cards in the set. But
Mage is going to be the scariest with this card, I think.
But definitely, there's going to be the mages that want to live the dream, and this card is a part of the dream.
So, okay, I was just... Hold on one sec. I was thinking, in comparison to Pilot Shredder, say this hits Shredder or Shredder hits it, and then you, like, hero power. Okay, well, I was thinking as a mage anyway. Gosh, it's so good with mage. Otherwise...
I mean, again, that's assuming it's the turn after you've played this, because otherwise it trades with the evenly with the front half of the Piloted Shredder.
Mhm.
Right,
Doesn't even deal with the 2-drop that comes out of it afterward.
right.
Just 3 more health though.
Yeah, it's
Right,
less
it's
easy to
still a
just remove
2-3,
outright.
so it could still trade.
It's hard to deal with on turn 4, 6 health.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see when we see the rest of the hero power cards that are added. Okay, hold on. How many have we hit so far? I think we're at 10 so
We're at
far.
like 10
10?
out of
Oh my
34.
gosh.
It's been,
Alright,
it's been an hour.
the next 2 cards are the dream combo. So
Okay, yeah. All right. Let's look at the next 2, and then we'll call it quits for this first episode, and then maybe try to be a little quicker next time.
lessons learned.
All right. Yeah, this is the first time we've done this. Okay. So our next card is Nexus Champion Sarad, a neutral legendary. Neutral legendary, 5 mana, 4/5. Inspire. Add a random spell to your hand, which could either be amazing
Ridiculous.
or not so great, but could also be freaking amazing.
It's ridiculous.
Every expansion adds more RNG.
It does.
Yeah, which I don't really like.
That's the one thing I don't really like about this card is that based all 3 decks in the Fireside had it. All 3 decks used it to stupid effect, being able to come at you from crazy directions, being able to play I think Firebat's Hunter ended up pulling a Snakebite Trap out of it, which he didn't normally have in his deck, but he pulled a Hunter spell out of the random.
Nice.
But Trump had crazy spells from everywhere. Amaz had crazy spells from everywhere.
It's very unpredictable. Makes you unpredictable.
Yeah, it's
That's
nuts.
true. It's hard to play around, and it's a decent body on board.
And it's
Right. It's not that far off from vanilla. It's only 1 mana over Yeti, right?
Yeah.
Did we say what the stats were and the cost and stuff?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Okay.
4 or 5 for 5.
5 mana, 4/5. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm a little down on the Inspire cards in general, just because I feel like in general they're pretty slow, and I think you're just going to get run over. This one is, you're going to get enough value out of the Inspire trigger, and the stats aren't that far off that I think this is stands to be pretty good, and it's definitely got a target on its forehead, because you've got to remove this, or you're going to start to get crazy value out of it.
Yeah. So TK Wrangle mentioned that it's similar to Nefarian, and I'd say it's cheaper and probably better. It's harder to play around, like I mentioned, because you don't know what came out of it, and you can combo this.
I think it's better than Nefarian.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. You can play it earlier, so you don't have to wait until turn 9.
You
right?
can play other stuff with it.
Yeah.
Like,
I like it.
it's gross.
They can't assume it's your class spell.
Right.
Or their class spell.
Mm-hmm.
But also keep in mind, you're not going to get that trigger likely until your next turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if they just dropped a Lotheb and your response is next to Champion Sarad, you're not.
That should not be ever your response.
Obviously, this is a 10 mana turn play, Brian. Like every other card we talked about, right?
I
want this in my priest.
Everyone wants this
Yeah.
In their priest.
in their priest.
In priest, it could be definitely pretty solid, because priest thrives on having more cards and creating card advantage, and this card will definitely help you do that.
Mm-hmm. It's gross. So this is part 2 of the ridiculous combo
Are we ready for the next
that
one?
was shown,
This
and
is
then
the
this
last
will be
card.
the last card.
Last card we're going to look at tonight. Kaldara Drake. 6 mana, 6/6 dragon, mage only creature. You can use your hero power any number of times, which, as you said, combined with Nexus Champion and the
Maiden of the Lake.
Maiden of the Lake, means as a mage late game, you ping stuff for however much mana you have, and then you have a handful of spells, which is just stupid. And we saw that in like the first game played with these cards.
Trump had all 3 of these out,
and it was ridiculous.
and just sat on the board for like 4 turns or something.
Do you think it was rigged?
I don't know. I don't
No,
think it was
I don't.
rigged.
I don't think any of them would have thrown a game or. And
Well,
they
it's a
wouldn't have-
show match. I mean,
Okay, so the one thing I will say is they were building their decks using certain new cards. So I think the decks, like you said, with a lot of the Inspire cards, they're slower. So what was happening was, I don't think Amaz, who was playing Shaman, had the typical suite of Shaman spells that you'd normally see, like a lot of lightning storms or hexes, or I guess he had 1 hex at least, because I think he hexed something, and he had some lava shock, and he had at least 1 lightning storm, but he just really wasn't drawing them. So when you get a lockdown using these cards, it was pretty oppressive to try and beat through it with his sort of totem themed deck, using the new totem cards that he was showing off. Because he needed bodies on the board, bodies were getting blown up by random spells, and getting pinged all the time, in addition to mage removal. So
okay, let's talk about this card and not consider the other ones that it can be comboed with. It's a
Not
dragon,
combo.
so this fits in a dragon deck.
But there isn't really a mage dragon yet.
Not yet.
It would pair well with Blackwing Corruptor.
It does. Yeah, that could be good.
Yeah.
Maybe some sort of dragon-based mage with, like I said, Corruptors,
Azure
Drakes, Malagos.
Yeah.
Malgos.
Sounds good to me.
Spell power.
This
Hang
is
everything.
6 attack, so it can't get BGH'd. Decent 6 drop. I'm trying to think of what else mage usually do on turn 6. Like, you're just
Blizzard?
waiting for like turn 7. Blizzard, yeah.
Situationally.
Only in Freeze Mage, though.
Yeah, like usually only in freeze mage. Like you wanna
Well, if you were running a
Emperor.
spell power.
Emperor.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thaurissan.
Sylvanas. I don't know.
Meh.
I don't usually see
everybody's
Sylvanas in
turn
mage
6 play.
Yeah.
decks. At least
Usually not
lately,
in mage.
anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe filling in a piece of their curve that really wasn't well represented, at least by class cards.
Yeah, maybe that's why they put it there. At 6 mana.
It works.
And then, yeah, next turn you can just throw out as many Fire Blasts as you feel like.
And win.
That's turn 7. You play Dr. Boom.
Oh, that's true. Sorry about
Or
that. Yeah.
or flame strike if you're losing.
Yeah,
Or
and then you
Flame
win.
Strike if it's
You
Arena.
just- you just-
And then
Play
second
Dr.
and
Boom
third
anyway.
and fourth flame strike. Alright.
But yeah, this with the Maiden and Sarad was just
It was pretty crazy.
it was gross.
But that was the whole point of that match was
Yes,
for
that was what Trump was
Show
going
was
for.
Did they go like turn 4, 5, 6, or did he wait?
I think it was
he-
way later.
Way later in the game, he played like Sarad and I want to say he played like Sarad, Maiden, and then Hero Powered, and got something out of it. And then after doing whatever, I don't know. It was weird.
Okay, so we've looked at 12 cards. We have, as it stands tonight, 20 more that they've revealed. And, I mean, we're a long way off from seeing all the rest of them. We're really slow. It's going to be like 10 hours of footage.
The set is 132 cards,
100, yeah.
and they've
That's
revealed
insane.
32 of them.
And, you know, we don't... There's so many more combos and crazy
Ridiculous.
cards that we haven't seen yet, so some of the cards that we've looked at already might be better when played with new cards that are going to be introduced. I don't feel like we've seen a lot of spells yet. It's mostly been minions.
I don't think we've seen any.
We
spell.
saw Lock and Load, but what
There's-
else?
Ball of Spiders.
Oh,
Ball of Spiders,
That's,
which is meh. I could make a case for it, but it's meh.
Effigy.
oh yeah,
And
effigy.
effigy.
An RNG case.
Yeah.
Ball of Spiders is.
Ball
I forgot
of
what my
RNG.
I forgot what my deck was supposed to play. Please give me some things to kill the enemy with.
I haven't found
Can you give me some
a
Savannah Highmanes?
Savannah Highmane yet, and I'm new.
The Ball of Spiders is a rare. You should have crafted the.
Turn
Savannah
8, lock
Highmane.
and load spiders.
The best
Step 1, disenchant Ball
Turn
of
9.
Spiders. Step 2, play until you have
Turn
enough
9,
dust to go make a Highmane. Okay, alright.
That's enough.
So,
It's just enough teasing cards we're not showing.
yes, alright. I don't know when we can get together to do another episode, but, I mean, I'm probably free tomorrow, if you guys are.
Yeah,
We
I'm
can
free
figure that
tomorrow.
out later. Anyway, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
Wait. Let me cover up my hand.
Alright.